Are you a frustrated caregiver trying to convince your parent that they need help, but your concerns are just falling on deaf ears? Your parents say, I don't need any help, and you think, oh my gosh, yes you do. I feel your pain and your frustration because I've heard the same excuse so many times. It's easy for your parents to say, I don't need any help when you are the help. Do you know the reasons that parents refuse help? I'll share some of the reasons and some tips and some boundaries to help you start to make caregiving more of a 50-50 relationship rather than a you relationship. I'm Pamela Wilson. I solve caregiving problems. For the past 20 years, I have helped caregivers and older adults with all kinds of caregiving problems. I've also been on call for caregiving emergencies. It's a crazy life. Caregiving should be a 50-50 responsibility in a perfect world. It should be collaboration and working back and forth, not believing that one person solves all the problems. So your parents say, I don't need any help, and they're thinking, well, my kids are free. I expect my kids to help. And why should I pay anybody else? Why do you think they say this? You're thinking, oh my gosh, you do need help. And even though I love you so much, you are driving me crazy. A friend, a volunteer, a paid caregiver would be so much better helping you out because they'd probably be a lot more patient with you. Do you think that your skills are really needed to clean the toilet, do laundry, vacuum, take out the trash, change light bulbs? Or would your skills be better at monitoring care, talking to physicians, advocating with service providers? And I kind of go back to my grandma. So let me tell you about my grandma. My grandma, well into her 90s, would shake her finger at me. She was Polish, and she'd say, oh, Pamela, it's just no good to get old. No good to get old. Even though she did everything, she was very positive. And the greatest thing about Grandma was she was appreciative. You would go see Grandma, and she would give you candy when you left, or she knitted these booty slippers because she had arthritis and she needed to keep her fingers active. And you'd leave, and you got a big kiss. And so all of that made you want to do more for Grandma because she was appreciative. Our Grandma is just the best. By the way, if you have kids, take your kids to see your grandparents and have them be around older people. It's important to avoid what we call ageism. A lot of times kids will think, oh, old people are just horrible and society has a bad attitude toward older people. I was fortunate in that my mom took me around to see my grandma and all my older relatives, and this is why I really love older people today. So grandma, thankful. Parents, not thankful, expect you to do things. That's because they want your attention. So the 3 reasons that parents refuse help. First one is, honestly, they're just set in their ways. They don't want their routine changed. They don't want strangers in their home. And they're thinking, well, heck, my kids provide assisted living already. Why do I need anybody else? You have actually trained your parents not to want anybody else in their home. So it's time to untrain them. Next statement, I don't need any help. The next thing they're going to say is, well, the only way I'm leaving this home is feet first, meaning dead on a gurney. Why do they say that? Well, they lived in the house for 20, 30, 40 years. Look in the basement. Look at all the stuff they've accumulated. They can't part with their stuff. My belief is if you haven't used something in 12 months, get rid of it. Number 3, no matter how old your parents are, they are not old. This goes back to the idea of ageism. Older adults are actually more prejudiced against older adults than any population. They don't want to be with people in walkers and wheelchairs because they see that to be their future. So they're afraid of aging. So you may say, Mom or Dad, let's go to a senior center. And they'll say, oh my gosh, there's old people there. Why would I do that? Or your doctor may recommend that your parents use a walker. And they're like, heck no, old people use walkers. I'm not old. That's good and bad. Feeling that you're not old and being positive about aging, so being proactive about doing things is great. Being negative about aging to the point that you discriminate against other older adults, not good. So fear is the common emotion that older adults and caregivers have. Older adults are afraid of getting more old and more frail. Caregivers are afraid of everything. You're afraid of expressing your emotions and saying that you're frustrated or guilty or angry. You're also afraid of saying no. You're afraid that if you say no and something horrible happens to your parents, that you're going to get blamed. So it's time to start talking about 50-50. Start talking to your parents about having friends, volunteers, paid caregivers, help. My history is that clients who refuse help, something eventually happens. Tragic accident, they end up having to leave their home, which is what most adults don't want. So it's time to talk about help, to get help long before it's needed. Caregivers, it's time to say no. Stop cleaning the toilets, say yes to friends helping, volunteers helping, paid caregivers. Time to get rid of all that stress and anxiety. Time to talk to your loved ones about participating in their care. I'm Pamela Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. I solve caregiving problems. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate a like, a love, comment, tell me your #1 caregiving concern, and please share this video. 1 in 4 people that you know are caregivers, and they're seeking information. I'll see you in the next video.